Spurs were also pushed a little bit high at 1.53 against Fulham. Did you see either of the games, or were you at
Mm-hmm.
least happy at Fulham overturning Brighton, the Data Kings?
I thought that was, Fulham are I think they got a bit lucky against Brighton, to be honest. I think they got like a
Well,
couple of
certainly with the
breaks of
second
ball.
goal, yeah.
Yeah, I think they did, and it looked to me as though Brighton were kind of in the ascendancy for most of the game. But Fulham are a different beast this year. They look, and beast is the right word when you've got that man up front. I think
Do
they
you miss him
they
playing
def
for Newcastle?
no, I don't, because he was. Do you know something? He's tempered quite a lot, because he used to be an incredible hothead. He used to pick up yellow cards like they were going out of
Oh yeah,
fashion.
that's
He
true.
and he got sent off a couple of times, and it never really happened because he seemed a bit like he seemed like somebody who wanted to bully people, in a kind of the mold that he is now, the Haaland mold, like just physically dominate them. But when he couldn't, that he would would revert, sorry, to kind of, kind of the dark arts, and they'd always be seen by the referee.
Mm.
Um, and it just never really. I think we tried to sign him, because he was promising at Anderlecht, and he was kind of a bit in that Andy Carroll sort of style, which obviously we loved. But he couldn't. He hadn't mastered the he hadn't mastered the I don't know how to put it really, the
Yeah, just
shadowy.
being a sort of more imposing player, I suppose. He
Yeah, but
doesn't. He
I think it
doesn't
was
need.
the
He does.
intelligence that he
He's
lacked.
yeah, yeah. I suppose yeah. He's a lot more intelligent as a player now.
Yeah,
So
definitely. But
might even be able to lay Fulham here if it goes as low as 7. Just using this sort of formula to calculate what kind of stake it should be. So 6.9, £6.93 on my bankroll. Because there's a bit of gap there. So it's even saying the market like are fancying Fulham a bit more than they ought to, based on the form. I know, obviously.
well, I think look at that Arsenal
Obviously,
match. I
Tottenham
think
dropped points, but it's that's quite an interesting one, isn't it?
I think if you look at for Fulham, it's not, and you've got to think about things like this. It's not far to go. They did really well against Arsenal away. They had extra day as well to prepare for this.
Yeah.
I think there's a fair bit going on there. I just there's something about Tottenham that, like, I don't really know. I'm not convinced that they're going to finish top 4 this year. I think they're actually going to. They could potentially struggle.
I was thinking as well with Chelsea signing Aubameyang, is he kind of the piece of the puzzle that they need to have a striker who runs in behind or sort of gets on the end of balls across the box and crosses from all their plethora of attacking midfielders.
Mm.
So maybe that can turn Chelsea's fortunes around, because losing the last 2 against Southampton and Leeds is not ideal.
I think the problem there, honestly, I think the problem there is that they have too many similar players, and they're collecting those wide attacking midfielders, and ultimately they move the same. That they all occupy the same spaces.
Yes, absolutely. Overloaded in one area of the pitch and a certain type of player, and not actually having a balanced side if you're playing Raheem Sterling as your number 9.
Yeah, exactly. Like Phil
But
Foden
now
is
that'll
not.
change. They've signed a number 9.
Yeah,
He's even got the number 9 shirt. So, yeah.
yeah, it could change, but it also didn't work with Lukaku, and I think that I think it's because the build-up play is so.
Well, to be honest, I think that Tuchel probably fell out with Lukaku. Personally, I think Lukaku could have been an absolute beast at Chelsea. But
Yeah,
they stopped playing him, or he was injured, or he was unfit. And if they had just played him 90 minutes from the start every game, whether it was the
yeah,
style he wanted or not, he'd have scored goals. That's what he
yeah. He
does.
would have. That's what he
So
always
there's
does.
a bit
Yeah,
of value here on under 1.5 goals and under 5.5 goals. So basically a Tottenham 1-0 if you wanted to like in a double. But
Mm.
yeah, so trying to lay Fulham there at 7 as well. Could lay the draw, but not really into that. And suppose
What do you think of Fulham this year?
I think they've started really well. They look like a team that's actually difficult to beat, which is the most important thing when you're down there. Even getting beat by Arsenal was in the last 10 minutes of the match. So, and the same thing at Brighton. I mean, they saw the game out of Brighton pretty hilariously, keeping it in the corner for a couple of minutes. And finally, Brighton, like Lewis Dunk was just losing his head. You see some elements of personality in this data-driven team where it's like actually they should be frustrated that they're not getting the results. And if they know as much as we know about how, the expected goals are meant to be pushing them up the league, then they must be really annoyed that every week they seem to get a 1-1 despite dominating or
I know.
have the most nil-nils or whatever. I didn't see the Brighton Newcastle match, but apparently they dominated that as well.
Yeah, they did. Nick Pope bailed us out.
And to be honest, they kept it very, they kept Fulham very quiet in the first half. It was a very dead game for a 0-0, and then obviously Fulham found a way through in the second half, and Brighton couldn't really come back. I guess they don't really have the firepower to do that, really. But Fulham looked pretty good at home.
Definitely.
Tottenham way is another big test there. Yeah, it's another big test of whether they are really right for this level, I suppose.
They look the most likely to me to stay up of the three. I know that's obvious because they're the furthest up the league. But
yeah, I think both Bournemouth and Forest could be in trouble. In fact, should we talk about that one next?
Let's do